I never thought my life would change because of a black eye. But that's exactly what happened on a Tuesday night in March, when I showed up to work at Murphy's bar with my face painted in shades of purple and blue that no amount of concealer could hide. My name is Sophie Reynolds. I'm 26 years old, and I work 2 jobs to pay for my little brother's leukemia treatment. The day shift is at a coffee shop downtown, where tourists ask for oat milk lattes and complain about the Wi-Fi. The night shift is here, at Murphy's, a dive bar on the east side where the regulars know your name, and the beer is always cold. I've been bartending here for 3 years, long enough to know which customers tip well and which ones will try to grab your ass when you turn around. I also know that Murphy's isn't exactly a legitimate business. I'm not stupid. The owner, a guy named Jimmy, who I've met exactly twice, doesn't come around much, but his associates do. They come every Thursday night, always in pairs, always wearing suits that cost more than my rent, and they always go to the back office with Eddie, the manager. They stay for exactly 20 minutes, leave with a briefcase that wasn't there when they arrived, and Eddie comes out looking relieved every single time. I don't ask questions. I need this job. My brother Michael is 17, and his medical bills are astronomical even with insurance. Our parents died in a car accident when I was 19 and he was 10. I became his guardian, his parent, his everything. And when he got diagnosed 2 years ago, I became his only hope for survival. So I pour drinks. I smile at drunk men who think they have a chance, and I ignore the briefcases and the expensive suits. That Tuesday, I almost called in sick. My face hurt too much. My ribs hurt worse. Tyler had done a number on me the night before when I finally worked up the courage to break up with him. We'd been dating for 6 months, and it had been good at first. He was charming, good-looking, the son of the police chief. He seemed stable, safe. I thought maybe I could have something normal despite everything else falling apart. But then, he started getting possessive, checking my phone, asking why I was working so late, getting angry when I couldn't see him because I had to take Michael to treatment. The final straw was when he told me I needed to quit one of my jobs so I could focus on us. When I said no, when I said Michael needed me more than Tyler's ego did, he called me a selfish bitch. I told him we were done. And that's when his fist connected with my face. I should have gone to the hospital. I should have called the cops. But Tyler's dad is the chief of police, and Tyler made it very clear what would happen if I told anyone. He said no one would believe me. He said I'd lose both my jobs. He said he'd make sure Michael's treatment got complicated with insurance issues. So I went home. I iced my face. I cried until I couldn't cry anymore, and then I got ready for work. The bar was slow that night. It was early, just past 8, and we only had a handful of regulars nursing their usual drinks. I was restocking the beer fridge when Eddie came out of the back office looking nervous. That's when I noticed the man sitting at the far end of the bar. I'd been so focused on hiding my face that I hadn't seen him come in. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair that was slightly too long and sharp features that belonged on a movie villain. He wore an expensive black suit with no tie, and he was watching me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. I'd never seen him before, but something about the way Eddie was hovering nearby told me exactly who he was. One of them. One of the men in suits. I walked over with my best customer service smile, even though it hurt my split lip. "What can I get you?" He didn't answer right away. His eyes scanned my face, lingering on the bruise around my eye that I'd tried to cover with foundation 3 shades too dark. His jaw tightened. Whiskey. Neat. I poured his drink, my hands shaking slightly. I could feel him watching every movement. When I set the glass down in front of him, he caught my wrist. Not hard, not threatening, just enough to make me look at him. "What happened to your face?" I pulled my hand back. "I'm fine. That'll be $8. He put a 50 on the bar without looking at it. "Keep the change." And I asked what happened. And I said, "I'm fine." My voice came out sharper than I intended. I didn't need this. I didn't need some stranger in an expensive suit asking questions I couldn't answer. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. All right. But he didn't leave. He sat there for the next hour, nursing that single whiskey, watching me work. Every time I glanced his way, his eyes were on me. Not in the creepy way some men looked at me, like I was something they wanted to consume. This was different. This was assessment. Like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. Around 9:30, I told Eddie I needed a bathroom break. My face was throbbing and I needed to fix my makeup. The employee bathroom was tiny, barely bigger than a closet, with a mirror that had a crack running through it. I locked the door and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. The bruise looked worse under the fluorescent light, purple and black and yellow around the edges. My lip was swollen, the cut barely hidden under the lipstick I'd applied. I looked like exactly what I was, a woman who'd been hit by someone who was supposed to care about her. I didn't hear the knock at first because I was crying. Quiet, frustrated tears that I quickly wiped away. But then it came again, soft, but insistent. Occupied, I called out, my voice rough. Sophie. It was him, the man from the bar. Open the door. I'm fine. I'll be out in a minute. I'm not asking. Something in his tone made me unlock the door. He pushed it open slowly, and suddenly the tiny bathroom felt even smaller with both of us in it. He was so tall he had to duck slightly to avoid hitting his head on the ceiling. He looked at my face, really looked at it, and I watched something dark and dangerous cross his features. When he spoke, his voice was soft, almost gentle. Who hurt you? And that's when I broke. Maybe it was because I was exhausted. Maybe it was because a stranger asking me that question with genuine concern was more than I could handle. Maybe it was because I'd been holding it together for so long that I just didn't have any strength left. Whatever the reason, I told him everything. About Tyler. About the breakup. About the threats. About how I couldn't report it because his father runs the police department and I have a brother who needs me. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and wiped a tear off my cheek with his thumb. His hand was calloused and warm. What's his full name? Tyler Brennan. The words came out as a whisper. But you can't do anything. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. He stepped back, pulled out his phone, and typed something quickly. You're going home. Your shift is over. I can't. I need this job. Eddie will. Eddie works for me. He said it simply, like it was obvious. I own this bar. I own 6 others in the city. My name is Nathan Blackwood. And you're going home because you need rest. And because I'm about to make some calls that you shouldn't be here for. I stared at him. Nathan Blackwood. I'd heard that name before, whispered in the kind of conversations people have when they think no one's listening. He was more than a man in a suit. He was the man in the suit. The one who ran things. The one people were afraid of. I don't want your charity, I said, even though my voice shook. I can work. I need the money. He pulled out his wallet and counted out bills. A lot of bills. 3 months' salary. Take it. Take time off. Heal. I can't accept that. I won't. Then consider it a loan. He held out the money. Pay me back when you're ready. But right now, you're going home. I should have said no. I should have walked away. But I was so tired, and my face hurt so much, and someone was finally offering to help without wanting anything in return. So I took the money, and I went home. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought I'd never see Nathan Blackwood again. I couldn't have been more wrong. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Eddie and a text that said simply, "Take the week off. Paid. Boss's orders." I stared at my phone for a full minute before I finally understood that Nathan had been serious. He'd actually given me time off, with pay. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'd worked every single day for the past 3 years, except when I was sick enough to literally not be able to stand. Having free time felt wrong, like I was forgetting something important. Michael noticed immediately when I came downstairs. He was at the kitchen table working on homework, his PICC line visible under the sleeve of his t-shirt. He'd been doing better lately, the latest round of treatment finally showing results. But he was still weak. Still tired all the time. Still my little brother, who I'd do anything to protect. Holy shit, Sophie. He dropped his pencil. What happened to your face? I'd almost forgotten. I'd slept in my makeup, too exhausted to wash it off, but it had rubbed away during the night. The bruise was on full display now, purple and angry. I'm fine, just an accident at work. Bullshit. Michael was 17, but sometimes he sounded 40. Cancer had aged him in ways that had nothing to do with years. Did Tyler do this? I couldn't lie to him. We'd been through too much together. Yeah, but it's over. I broke up with him. I'm going to kill him. Michael stood up, and I saw the rage in his eyes that I felt in my own chest. I'm going to actually kill him, Sophie. No, you're not. I grabbed his arm. You're going to sit down, finish your homework, and let me handle this. He hit you. I know, and he's going to regret it. I didn't know how yet, but I believed it. Nathan Blackwood had looked at my face with an expression that promised consequences. But you need to focus on getting better. That's all that matters. Michael sat back down reluctantly, but I could see he wasn't letting it go. Neither was I. But I didn't want him involved in whatever was about to happen. I spent the day cleaning the apartment, doing laundry, catching up on sleep. Normal things that I never had time for. It felt strange, almost peaceful. My phone buzzed around noon with an unknown number. How are you feeling, Nathan? I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Better, thank you. Good. Rest today. I'll check in tomorrow. That should have been weird. A powerful crime boss checking in on me like I was someone who mattered. But it wasn't weird. It was kind. And I couldn't remember the last time someone had been kind to me without wanting something in return. That night, my phone rang. Tyler. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. What do you want? Baby, I'm so sorry. His voice was thick, like he'd been crying, or drinking. Probably both. I didn't mean it. I was just angry. You know I love you. Don't call me again. I hung up. He called back immediately, then again, and again. I blocked his number, but that didn't stop him from showing up at my apartment an hour later, pounding on the door and yelling my name. Michael looked at me with panic in his eyes. Should I call the cops? His dad is the cops, I reminded him. I grabbed my phone and did the only thing I could think of. I texted Nathan, Tyler is at my apartment. Won't leave. The response came in seconds. Address? I sent it. You don't have to. 20 minutes. True to his word, exactly 20 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. But it wasn't Tyler's aggressive pounding. It was calm, controlled. I looked through the peephole and saw Nathan standing there in jeans and a black t-shirt, looking somehow more dangerous without the expensive suit. I opened the door. Tyler was gone. Where is he? Having a conversation with some associates of mine. Nathan stepped inside, his eyes scanning the apartment. It was small, probably 1/10 of the size of wherever he lived, but it was clean, organized, home. He won't bother you again. You can't promise that. I can, and I do. He looked at Michael, who was standing in the hallway trying to look tough despite the PICC line and the pallor that chemo left. You must be the brother. Michael, I said quickly. Michael, this is Nathan. He's helping us. Nathan held out his hand and Michael shook it, sizing him up the way teenage boys do when they're trying to figure out if someone is a threat. You're the bar owner, among other things. Nathan's attention shifted back to me. I need to talk to your sister, alone. Michael looked like he wanted to argue, but I nodded. It's okay, go finish your homework. He left reluctantly, and Nathan and I stood in my tiny living room facing each other. Up close, without the dim bar lighting, I could see he was probably early 30s, with green eyes that didn't miss anything, and a scar above his left eyebrow that looked old. You need to understand something, he said quietly. Tyler Brennan is not going to touch you again. Not because I'm a nice guy. I'm not. I'm probably the furthest thing from nice that you'll ever meet. But what happened to you pisses me off. And when I'm pissed off, I fix things. By doing what exactly? I crossed my arms. You're going to scare him? His father is the police chief. He's untouchable. No one is untouchable, Sophie. Not even the chief's son. Especially not the chief's son. He moved closer, and I should have stepped back, but I didn't. I'm going to make sure that everyone who matters knows what he did. I'm going to make sure that his reputation is ruined, and I'm going to make sure that he understands that if he comes near you again, he won't just deal with me. He'll deal with everyone I know. Why? The word came out as a whisper. You don't even know me. I know enough. His hand came up, hovering near my bruised cheek but not touching. I know you work 2 jobs for your brother. I know you're stronger than you think you are. I know that you deserve better than some coward who hits women. We stood there for a moment, something electric passing between us that I didn't understand and wasn't ready to examine. Finally, Nathan stepped back. I'm going to have someone watch your apartment for the next few days, just in case. That's not necessary. It's not a request. Someone tried to hurt you. I don't let that slide. He moved toward the door, then paused. Get some rest. And Sophie, stop trying to do everything alone. It's okay to let someone help. After he left, I stood in the middle of my living room trying to process what had just happened. A man I barely knew had just appointed himself my protector. A dangerous man. A criminal. And the strangest part was that I didn't feel afraid. I felt safe. Michael came back into the room. Is he your boyfriend? What? No. He's just helping. He looks at you like you're the only person in the room. Michael sat on the couch, giving me that knowing look that little brothers shouldn't be capable of. And you look at him the same way. I do not. Sure, Sophie. Whatever you say. He grinned, then winced. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. It's only 8:30. Chemo brain. He shrugged like it was nothing, but I saw the exhaustion in his eyes. Wake me up if you need me to beat up any Mafia bosses. I laughed, despite everything. He's not Mafia. Uh-huh. And I'm not sick. Michael headed to his room, leaving me alone with my thoughts. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Nathan's hands, gentle when they touched my face, about the way he'd looked at Tyler's name like it was a problem he was going to solve, about the fact that he'd shown up at my apartment in 20 minutes because I'd asked for help. I didn't show up at Murphy's for the rest of the week. I followed Nathan's orders, even though it felt wrong, but I couldn't deny that my face needed time to heal. The bruise faded from purple to yellow-green. My lips stopped hurting. My ribs didn't ache when I breathed. On day 4, Nathan texted, "How's Michael?" The question surprised me. How did you know he had treatment today? I asked. He's at Memorial, right? Dr. Patterson? Are you having me followed? I'm making sure you're okay. There's a difference. I should have been angry. I should have told him to back off. Instead, I answered, he's doing better. The treatment is working. Good, that's good. We started texting after that. Little things. He'd ask how Michael was doing. I'd tell him about the book I was reading. He'd send me pictures of his dog, a massive German shepherd named Beast. I'd send him photos of the terrible coffee I made because I was used to working, not resting. It was easy. Too easy. And by the end of the week, I realized I was looking forward to his messages more than I wanted to admit. On Sunday, exactly 1 week after Nathan had told me to rest, I showed up at Murphy's ready to work. Eddie looked relieved to see me. "You sure you're good?" "I'm fine." The bruise was barely visible now under makeup. My lip had healed completely. "I need to work, Eddie. I've been going crazy at home." He nodded, but I could see him glance toward the back office. "Boss said you could take more time if you need it." "Boss says a lot of things." I tied on my apron. "But I'm here now, and that bar isn't going to tend itself." The night started slow, picking up around 9 when the after-dinner crowd came in. I fell back into the rhythm easily. Pour, smile, collect money, repeat. It felt good to be doing something productive again. To not be sitting at home thinking about everything I couldn't control. At 10:30, Nathan walked in. He wasn't alone. 2 men flanked him, both wearing the kind of expressions that said they knew how to handle trouble. But Nathan's attention was entirely on me as he crossed the bar and sat down in what I'd started thinking of as his seat at the far end. Whiskey, neat. I poured without asking. When I set it down, he caught my wrist again. Same gentle grip as last time. "What are you doing here?" "Working. What does it look like?" "It looks like you're supposed to be resting." "I've rested enough." I pulled my hand back. "I need the money, and I need to feel normal again." "Sophie, don't." I kept my voice low, aware of the other customers. "I appreciate everything you've done. Really. But I can't just sit at home forever. This is my life." He studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "All right. But if you get tired, you go home. Deal?" "Deal." He stayed for 3 hours, nursing that single whiskey and working on his laptop. Every time I glanced over, he was watching me. Not in a creepy way, in a protective way, like he was making sure no one bothered me. And no one did. Even the regulars who usually tried to flirt kept their distance. When the bar finally cleared out around midnight, Nathan closed his laptop and gestured for me to come over. "Sit. I'm working." "Eddie," Nathan called out without looking away from me. "Sophie's on break." Eddie, who'd been cleaning glasses at the other end of the bar, nodded immediately. "Take 15, Sophie." I wanted to argue, but I was tired. My feet hurt, so I poured myself a Coke and sat down on the stool next to Nathan. "You know, most people don't boss around their employees like that. I'm not most people." He shifted slightly so he was facing me. "How's your face?" "Healing. You can barely see the bruise now." "I can see it." His jaw tightened. "I'll always be able to see it." The weight of those words settled between us. I took a sip of my Coke, trying to think of something to say that wouldn't sound ridiculous. Finally, I settled on, "Thank you for everything. The money, the time off, dealing with Tyler. I don't know how to repay you." "I don't want repayment." "Then what do you want?" He was quiet for a moment, his fingers drumming against the bar. "I want you to stop looking so goddamn tired all the time. I want your brother to get better. I want you to not have to work yourself to death just to survive." He turned to look at me. "But mostly, I want to make sure that no one ever hurts you again." My heart did something complicated in my chest. "You can't protect everyone, Nathan." "I'm not trying to protect everyone, just you." "Why me?" "Because you walked into this bar with a black eye and a split lip, and you still smiled at customers. Because you worked 2 jobs for your brother without complaining. Because when I asked who hurt you, You tried to protect him by saying it wasn't my business. He leaned closer. Because I looked at you, and I saw someone who deserves better than the shit hand life dealt them. I didn't know what to say to that. No one had ever looked at me like I was something worth protecting. Like I mattered beyond what I could do, or who I could take care of. It was overwhelming and terrifying, and exactly what I needed. I don't need saving, I finally said. I know. That's what makes you worth saving. He stood up, pulled out his wallet, and left $300 on the bar. For your brother's treatment, don't argue. But I did argue. For the next 2 weeks, every time Nathan came into the bar, we had the same conversation. He'd try to give me money. I'd refuse. He'd insist. I'd tell him I wasn't a charity case. Eventually, we compromised. He could pay for Michael's medications, but nothing else. It became routine. Nathan showed up every night around 9. He'd order one whiskey that he barely touched. He'd work on his laptop or make phone calls in the back office with Eddie. And he'd watch me work like I was the most interesting thing in the room. We started talking more. Real conversations about real things. He told me about his dog, Beast, who was apparently terrified of the mailman, despite being 90 pounds of pure muscle. I told him about Michael's latest obsession with learning guitar, even though chemo made his fingers weak. Nathan told me about how he'd gotten into business after his father died and left him with debts that needed paying. I told him about how our parents' death had changed everything. We didn't talk about the obvious stuff, about what he really did for a living, about the briefcases and the expensive suits and the men who called him boss, with genuine respect and a little bit of fear. We didn't talk about Tyler, who hadn't been seen at the bar or anywhere near my apartment since that night. We didn't talk about the fact that I was starting to look forward to his visits more than I wanted to admit. 3 weeks after the black eye incident, I was closing up the bar when Nathan came out of the back office looking tense. Eddie had already left, and it was just the two of us and the late-night stragglers finishing their drinks. "What's wrong?" I asked, wiping down the bar. "Nothing you need to worry about." "Nathan." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Business. Just business. The kind of business that gets people hurt? Sometimes." He didn't lie to me. That was something I'd come to appreciate. He never pretended to be something he wasn't. But not tonight. I finished cleaning and grabbed my jacket. Nathan was suddenly next to me. "I'll walk you out." "It's 2 blocks. I'm fine." "Humor me." We walked in silence at first, the late March air still cold enough that I could see my breath. The streets were mostly empty except for a few cars and the occasional person hurrying home. Nathan stayed close, his presence somehow both comforting and unnerving. "Can I ask you something?" I finally said as we approached my apartment building. "Anything. Why do you come to the bar every night? You don't drink. You don't really need to be there. So why?" He stopped walking, and I turned to face him. The streetlight cast shadows across his face, making him look both dangerous and vulnerable at the same time. "You really don't know?" "No." "I come because you're there, Sophie. I come because watching you work, seeing you smile at customers even when you're exhausted, knowing you're safe. That's become the best part of my day." He stepped closer. "I come because I'm completely obsessed with you and I'm done pretending otherwise." My breath caught. "Nathan, you don't have to say anything. I know this is complicated. I know what I am and what I do. I know you deserve better than a man who makes his living doing illegal shit. But I can't stay away from you. I've tried. I should have been scared. I should have told him this was a bad idea and walked away. Instead, I said the truth. I don't want you to stay away." Something shifted in his expression. Hope, maybe. Or relief. Yeah. I moved closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne and see the flecks of gold in his green eyes. "You're a criminal, and I'm a bartender trying to save her brother, and this is probably the worst idea either of us has ever had." "Probably," he agreed, "but I think about you all the time. I think about your hands and your voice and the way you look at me like I'm the only person who matters." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. "And I don't care if it's stupid or dangerous or wrong. I want this. I want you." He kissed me then, one hand cupping my unbruised cheek, while the other went to my waist. It was gentle at first, almost careful, like he was afraid of hurting me. But when I pressed closer, when I ran my fingers through his hair and kissed him back with everything I'd been feeling for weeks, he deepened it. It was the kind of kiss that made you forget where you were, the kind that promised things neither of us should promise. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nathan rested his forehead against mine. "You're going to be the death of me, Sophie Reynolds." "Right back at you, Nathan Blackwood." He walked me to my door, kissed me one more time, and made me promise to text him when I got inside. I did, and his response was immediate. "Sweet dreams. See you tomorrow." I went to bed that night with my phone in my hand and a smile on my face that I couldn't have gotten rid of if I tried. For the first time in years, I felt something other than exhausted. I felt alive. I felt wanted. I felt like maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. I was completely wrong, but I didn't know that yet. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing insistently. 23 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize, and a voicemail that made my blood run cold. "Sophie, it's Chief Brennan. We need to talk about Tyler. Call me back immediately." I sat up in bed, my heart pounding. Tyler's father, the police chief. This couldn't be good. Michael was still asleep down the hall, and I didn't want to wake him with whatever this was about. So I took my phone into the bathroom, locked the door, and called back. "Miss Reynolds." Chief Brennan's voice was clipped and professional. "I assume you know why I'm calling." "No, actually I don't. My son is in the hospital. Both his hands are broken. Multiple fractures. The doctors say someone took a tire iron to his fingers." There was a pause. "He says it was a mugging. But I don't believe in coincidences, Miss Reynolds. And I find it very coincidental that my son is attacked less than a month after you two broke up." And my mouth went dry. Nathan had done this. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me. I know about the bruise. Tyler told me everything. He said he made a mistake, that he got angry and hurt you and he's sorry. But that doesn't justify what happened to him." "Are you seriously calling me to defend your son hitting me?" My voice shook with anger. "He put me in the hospital. He threatened me. And you're worried about his hands?" "I'm worried about the fact that someone decided to take justice into their own hands. That's vigilante behavior, Miss Reynolds. That's criminal." His voice hardened. "If I find out you had anything to do with this, you'll be arrested for conspiracy to commit assault." Good luck proving that. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. I needed to call Nathan. I needed to know what the hell he'd done. But before I could dial, Michael knocked on the bathroom door. "Sophie, you okay?" I opened the door. Michael was in his pajamas, his hair sticking up in 15 directions, looking worried. "I'm fine. Just got a weird call." "From who?" "No one important." I tried to smile, but I could tell he wasn't buying it. "Go get dressed. I'll make breakfast." But Michael wasn't stupid. He'd heard enough of the conversation to piece things together. That was about Tyler, wasn't it? Michael. Someone hurt him. Good. He deserves it. There was a viciousness in my little brother's voice that scared me. "He put his hands on you, Sophie. Someone should have broken more than his fingers." "Don't talk like that. I grabbed his shoulders. I know you're angry. I am too. But we can't what? Be glad that he got what was coming to him? Michael pulled away. You always do this. You always protect everyone else and let people walk all over you. Well, I'm glad someone finally protected you for once. He went back to his room and slammed the door. I stood in the hallway feeling like the world's worst guardian. He was right, of course. I did always put everyone else first. But that was my job. That was what you did when you were responsible for keeping a 17-year-old alive. I texted Nathan, "We need to talk. Now." His response was immediate. "I'm outside." I looked out the window and sure enough, there was a black SUV parked across the street. Nathan was leaning against it, phone in hand, looking up at my building. I grabbed my jacket and went downstairs. "You broke his hands." I said it the moment I was close enough that no one else could hear. Both of them. Every finger. Nathan didn't look sorry. He's right-handed, so I made sure his dominant hand got special attention. The police chief called me. He thinks I was involved. He can think whatever he wants. He can't prove anything. Nathan pushed off the SUV and came closer. "Did you really think I was going to let him get away with what he did to you? I thought you were going to scare him, talk to him, not literally break his bones." Talking doesn't work with men like Tyler. Pain does. Fear does. His voice was hard, uncompromising. "He hit you, Sophie. He threatened you. He made you afraid in your own home. So I made sure he'd never be able to hit anyone again. By putting him in the hospital. By sending a message to him, to his father, to everyone in this city who thinks they can hurt people without consequences." He cupped my face, his thumb brushing my cheek where the bruise had been. "I told you I'd fix this. I did. I should have been horrified. I should have told him he'd gone too far and walked away. But looking at him, at the fierce protectiveness in his eyes, all I felt was safe. Cherished. Like someone had finally cared enough to make sure I wasn't hurt again. His father is going to come after you. Let him try." Nathan's smile was cold and dangerous. "Chief Brennan has 3 offshore accounts that his department doesn't know about. He has a mistress in the city that his wife doesn't know about. And he has a habit of taking bribes from developers that the FBI would love to know about. If he comes after me or you, all of that becomes public knowledge." "You've been investigating him?" "I've been investigating everyone connected to Tyler since the day you told me his name." He leaned down, his forehead touching mine. "I told you, Sophie. No one touches you and walks away. Not Tyler. Not his father. No one." "This is insane," I whispered, but I didn't pull away. "Yeah, it is." He kissed me softly. "But I'm not going to apologize for protecting you. I'm never going to apologize for that." We stood there on the street, holding each other while the city woke up around us. Eventually, I stepped back. "I need to get Michael to his appointment, and you need to. Do whatever crime boss thing you do. I'll pick you up tonight after your shift. Nathan." "Not negotiable. Tyler's in the hospital, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have friends. I'm not taking chances with your safety." His voice softened. "Please, let me do this." I nodded, too overwhelmed to argue. "Okay, tonight." He kissed me one more time, then got back in his SUV and drove away. I went back upstairs to find Michael sitting on the couch, fully dressed and waiting. "So that's him, the guy who broke Tyler's hands. Michael. I like him." My brother grinned. "He's got good taste in revenge. This isn't funny. It kind of is. Tyler's a cop's son who thought he was untouchable, and now he can't even hold a fork. That's karma, Sophie. That's justice." I wanted to argue, but I was too tired. Instead, I made us breakfast and we drove to the hospital for his treatment in silence. Dr. Patterson was pleased with Michael's progress. The cancer was in remission. He'd need a few more rounds of chemo to be safe, but things were looking good for the first time in 2 years. "You must be relieved," Dr. Patterson said as we left. I was. I was so relieved I could barely breathe. Michael was going to be okay. He was going to live. We'd made it through the worst of it. Yeah, I am. That night I went to work with a lightness I hadn't felt in years. Eddie noticed immediately. "You look happy." "Michael's doing better. The doctor says he's responding well." "That's great, Sophie. Really great." Eddie hesitated. "Boss wanted me to tell you he's going to be late tonight. Business stuff." "It's fine. I'm working, not waiting for him." But I was waiting for him. I was watching the door every time someone came in, hoping it would be Nathan. He finally showed up at 11, looking tired and stressed. There was blood on his knuckles that he tried to hide when he sat down. I poured his whiskey without asking and set it down harder than necessary. "What happened?" "Nothing. Your hands are bleeding. Hazard of the job." He took a sip of his drink, wincing slightly. "It's handled. Nathan, drop it, Sophie." His voice was sharp and I flinched. He noticed immediately and his expression softened. "I'm sorry. Bad night, but it's over now." I wanted to push, to demand answers, but I could see the exhaustion in his eyes. So instead, I reached across the bar and took his damaged hand in mine. "Let me see." He let me examine the cuts and scrapes on his knuckles. They weren't deep, but they were going to bruise badly. I grabbed the first aid kit from under the bar and started cleaning them. He watched me work in silence. "You're too good for this," he finally said. "For what?" "For me. For this life. You should be with someone safe. Someone who doesn't come home with bloody knuckles and secrets." I met his eyes. "Maybe I don't want safe. Maybe I want someone who shows up every night just to make sure I'm okay. Someone who breaks fingers for me. Someone who looks at me like I'm the best thing that's ever happened to them." "You are." The words came out raw, honest. "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Sophie. And that terrifies me because I'm going to ruin you. I'm going to drag you into my world and you're going to hate me for it. Then let me choose." I finished bandaging his hand and held it between both of mine. "Let me decide if I want this, if I want you. Because I do, Nathan. Bloody knuckles and secrets and all." He pulled me across the bar and kissed me hard, desperate, like he was drowning and I was air. When we broke apart, he was breathing heavily. "Come home with me tonight. Not to my apartment, my real home. I want you to see who I really am. Okay? Okay?" He looked surprised, like he'd expected me to say no. "Yeah, okay." I smiled. "Let me finish my shift, and then you can show me all your dark secrets, Nathan Blackwood." He laughed, and it was the best sound I'd ever heard. "You have no idea what you're getting into." "Probably not, but I'm getting into it anyway." Nathan's real home was a penthouse apartment on the top floor of the nicest building I'd ever seen in person. The elevator required a key card to access the top floor, and when the doors opened, they opened directly into his living space. No hallway, no shared floors, just his. "Holy shit," I breathed, stepping into a space that was bigger than 3 of my apartments combined. The entire far wall was windows overlooking the city. The furniture was modern and expensive, all dark woods and leather. There was art on the walls that probably cost more than I made in a year. But what caught my attention was the massive German shepherd that came bounding over the moment we walked in. "Beast, down." Nathan's command was firm but affectionate. The dog sat immediately, his tail wagging so hard his entire back end moved. "Sophie, meet Beast." Beast, this is Sophie. She's important, so be nice. I crouched down and let Beast sniff my hand before petting him. He was enormous and absolutely beautiful, with intelligent eyes and a goofy tongue that lolled out when he was happy. He's perfect. He's a pain in the ass. But Nathan was smiling, scratching behind Beast's ears. Aren't you, buddy? I explored the apartment while Nathan fed Beast and grabbed us drinks. The kitchen was state-of-the-art with appliances I didn't even recognize. There was a home gym, an office with multiple computer screens, a library full of books that looked actually read, not just decorative, and at the end of the hall, a bedroom with a king-sized bed and more of those floor-to-ceiling windows. You can see the whole city from here, I said when Nathan found me standing at the bedroom window. That's the point. He handed me a glass of wine and stood next to me. I like knowing what's happening, where the problems are, what needs fixing. You mean what needs controlling? Same thing, sometimes. He took a sip of his whiskey. You wanted to see who I really am. This is it. A guy who needs to control things because he grew up with no control. Who made a fortune doing illegal shit because his father left him with nothing but debts and enemies. Who lives in a fortress 30 floors up because he has too many people who want him dead. I turned to face him. Do you kill people? He didn't flinch. Sometimes. When necessary. When there's no other option. Have you killed anyone recently? No. Not in 6 months. He set down his glass. I'm not going to lie to you, Sophie. I've done terrible things. I've hurt people. I've made choices that keep me up at night. But everything I've done to survive. To build something. To protect the people who depend on me. And now I'm one of those people. Now you're the most important one of those people. He cupped my face. I would burn this city down before I let anyone hurt you again. I would kill without hesitation. I would do things that would make you hate me, and I wouldn't regret it for a second. I should have been scared. Any sane person would have been scared. But I wasn't. I was turned on and terrified and exhilarated all at once. Show me the rest. He led me to his office and unlocked a drawer in his desk. Inside were files and files of information on Tyler, on Chief Brennan, on city officials and business owners and people I'd never heard of. This is what I do. I collect information. I find leverage. I make sure that I'm always the most dangerous person in the room. Because if you're the most dangerous, you're the safest. Exactly. He pulled out Tyler's file and handed it to me. I know everything about him. Where he goes, who he talks to, what he's afraid of. And now everyone else knows too. I made sure of it. I flipped through the file. There were photos of Tyler at bars, clearly drunk and belligerent. Records of complaints from other women he'd dated. Evidence of him using his father's position to get out of trouble. And a detailed account of the night he'd hit me, including security footage from a nearby building that I didn't know existed. You have proof, I whispered. I have proof. And I've given copies to every news station, every online gossip site, and every person in the city who matters. By tomorrow morning, Tyler Brennan will be the most hated man in town. His father won't be able to protect him. His friends will abandon him. And he'll spend the rest of his life knowing that everyone knows what he did. I closed the file and looked at Nathan. This is more than revenge. This is justice. The kind that the legal system won't give you because his father runs the legal system. He took the file from me and locked it away. This is me making sure that he pays for what he did, and making sure everyone else knows what happens when you hurt someone I care about. You really care about me. Sophie. He pulled me close, his hands on my hips. I'm obsessed with you. I think about you every second of every day. I rearrange my entire schedule to make sure I'm at that bar when you're working. I've killed people who were less of a threat than Tyler just because they looked at you wrong. He kissed me softly. So yeah, I really care about you. I kissed him back, pouring everything I felt into it. Want, need, gratitude, fear, love. Maybe love. It was too soon for love, but that's what it felt like. We made it to his bedroom without breaking contact, stumbling over Beast who'd followed us down the hall. We made love with the city lights sparkling below us, and it was nothing like I'd imagined. It was gentle and fierce and desperate all at once. Nathan touched me like I was precious, like I might break, but also like he couldn't get enough. And when it was over, when we were tangled together in his ridiculously expensive sheets, he held me like he was never letting go. Stay, he murmured against my hair. Tonight, tomorrow, as long as you want. I have Michael. I can't just... Bring him here. I have 3 extra bedrooms. He can have his own space. You can both have your own space. He pulled back to look at me. I want you here, Sophie. I want to wake up next to you. I want to have breakfast together. I want you in my life, not just at the bar, where I have to share you with drunk customers and Eddie's terrible jokes. This is crazy. I know. Say yes anyway. I thought about my tiny apartment with thin walls and a bathroom that always smelled like mildew. I thought about Michael and his treatments, and how having one less thing to worry about might actually save both our lives. I thought about Nathan and his dangerous, beautiful world that he was inviting me into with no guarantees and no safety net. Yes, I said. We'll stay. His smile was blinding. Yeah? Yeah, but Michael gets his own bathroom, non-negotiable. Done. He can have 2 bathrooms if he wants. Nathan kissed me again, slower this time. Thank you. For what? For trusting me, for giving me a chance, for being you. He pulled me closer. I promise I'm going to take care of you, Sophie. You and Michael both. No more working 2 jobs. No more worrying about bills. No more being alone. Nathan, I mean it. I have more money than I know what to do with. Let me use it for something good for once. Let me make your life easier. He kissed my forehead. Please. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him I didn't need his money or his help. But I was so tired of struggling. So tired of working myself to death. So tired of being scared that one wrong move would mean Michael didn't get his treatment. So instead, I just nodded and let him hold me while I cried tears of relief I didn't know I'd been holding in. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee and bacon. Nathan was in the kitchen wearing sweatpants and nothing else, cooking breakfast while Beast supervised hopefully from his bed. It was so domestic, so normal, that I almost laughed. You cook. I make 3 things: eggs, bacon, and toast. You'll have to handle the rest. He grinned. Coffee's ready. I poured myself a cup and sat at the island, watching him work. I need to go home and talk to Michael, about moving here, about you, about everything. Want me to come with you? No. This is something I need to do alone. I took a sip. The coffee was perfect. But I'll call you after. And Nathan? Thank you for all of this. You don't have to thank me. This is what you do when you love someone. The words hung in the air between us. Love. He'd said love. And instead of panicking, instead of running, I just smiled. Love, huh? Too soon? Probably, but I don't care. I set down my cup and went to him, wrapping my arms around his waist. I think I'm falling in love with you too, Nathan Blackwood. Even though you're a criminal, and you break people's fingers and you live in a penthouse that's nicer than anywhere I've ever been. Especially because of all those things. He turned around and kissed me. Maybe I might have a thing for dangerous men who cook breakfast, We ate together, and then he drove me home. Before I got out of the car, he grabbed my hand. "Whatever Michael says, whatever you decide, I'm not going anywhere. We'll figure this out." I know. I found Michael in the living room playing video games, which was a good sign. He only played when he was feeling decent. He paused the game when he saw me. "So, you stayed out all night?" "I did. With Nathan." "Yes. And?" He waited, and I could see he was trying to be casual but actually cared a lot about my answer. I sat down next to him. "And he wants us to move in with him, both of us. He has a huge apartment with extra bedrooms, and he wants to help with your treatment and make our lives easier." Michael was quiet for a long moment. "Do you love him?" "I think so. Maybe. It's complicated." "Is he good to you?" "He's the best thing that's happened to me in years." "Then we should go." Michael said it simply, like it was obvious. "I'm tired of this place anyway, and if he can help with treatments, if he makes you happy, then why not?" "Just like that?" "Just like that." He grinned. "Plus his dog seems cool. Beast, right? You've been looking him up." "Obviously. I wanted to make sure he wasn't going to murder us in our sleep." Michael turned serious. "I like him, Sophie. He protected you when no one else did. He broke Tyler's hands. That's brother-in-law material right there." I laughed and cried at the same time, hugging Michael tight. Okay, we'll go." We spent the rest of the day packing. We didn't have much, but what we had mattered. By evening, Nathan had sent movers who handled everything while we supervised. And by nightfall, we were standing in Nathan's penthouse, our penthouse now, trying to figure out how our lives had changed so drastically in less than a month. Moving in with Nathan was both the easiest and hardest thing I'd ever done. Easy because he made everything simple. Michael got the bedroom with the best morning light and his own bathroom. I got half the walk-in closet and a drawer in Nathan's bathroom for my stuff. Beast got a new best friend in Michael, who spent hours teaching him commands and taking him for walks. Hard because I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for Nathan to realize this was a mistake, for something to go wrong. But nothing went wrong. Days turned into weeks, and we fell into a routine that felt startlingly normal for a woman, her sick brother, and the crime boss who loved them. Nathan still went to the bar every night, but now I went with him. We'd work together, me behind the bar, and him in the back office, and then we'd come home to Michael, who had inevitably made friends with one of Nathan's security guys, and learned something new and vaguely illegal. The city found out about Tyler exactly like Nathan said they would. The news broke on a Tuesday morning. Police chief's son accused of domestic violence. Multiple victims come forward. By afternoon, there were protests outside the police station. By evening, Chief Brennan had resigned. By the end of the week, Tyler was facing charges and his entire life was ruined. I should have felt guilty. I didn't. I felt vindicated. Does this make me a bad person? I asked Nathan one night as we watched the news coverage from his couch. No. It makes you human. He pulled me closer. He hurt you. He hurt other women. He deserved this. And his father? His father enabled him, protected him, let him think he was untouchable. Nathan kissed my temple. They both got what they deserved. 3 days after we moved in, Tyler showed up at Murphy's. Both hands were in casts, his face was pale, and he looked like he'd aged 10 years. Eddie tried to throw him out, but I stopped him. "What do you want, Tyler?" He couldn't look at me. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. Why now? Because you got caught? Because everyone knows what you did? Because I lost everything. His voice cracked. My dad lost his job. My friends won't talk to me. I'm facing charges. My life is over, Sophie. And it's all because I couldn't control my temper for 5 fucking minutes. Good. I said it without hesitation. I hope you remember this every day for the rest of your life. I hope every time you try to use your hands and can't, you remember what you did to me. What you did to those other women. I deserve that. He looked up finally, and I saw genuine remorse in his eyes. Maybe. Or maybe just self-pity. I deserved everything that happened to me. But just so you know, whoever did this, whoever broke my hands, I'm not pressing charges. I told the cops it was a mugging because the truth is worse. What truth? That I beat up my girlfriend, and someone made me pay for it. That I'm not the victim here. You are. Those other girls are. He backed toward the door. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that I won't bother you again. He left, and I stood there feeling strange. Not satisfied exactly, but something close to closure. Nathan appeared from the back office where he'd clearly been listening. You okay? Yeah, I think I am. I turned to him. He looked pathetic. He is pathetic. Always was. Nathan pulled me into his arms. You're worth 100 of him, Sophie. That night, as we were closing up, Nathan's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and frowned. I need to take this. Give me 5 minutes? He went into the back office while I finished cleaning. But 5 minutes turned into 10. And when he finally came out, he looked worried. We need to go, now. What's wrong? I'll explain in the car. Come on. We drove to the penthouse in silence, Nathan's hands tight on the steering wheel. When we got upstairs, Michael was asleep, and Nathan's security guy, Marcus, was watching TV. Everything looked fine. What's going on? I demanded once we were in Nathan's office with the door closed. That was my lawyer. Chief Brennan is trying to build a case against me. He's claiming I was behind Tyler's attack. He's claiming I've been running illegal operations through the bars. He's claiming I'm a threat to the city. Nathan paced. It's bullshit, all of it. But he's angry and desperate and he wants someone to blame. Can he prove any of it? No, I've been careful. But that doesn't mean he can't make my life difficult. He stopped pacing and looked at me. Sophie, this is what I was afraid of. This is me dragging you into my world. If he comes after me, he'll come after you too. You and Michael both. So we leave. We go somewhere else. We start over. Run. He looked offended. I don't run from men like Brennan. Then what do? I end this. His voice was cold, hard, the voice of a man who'd made difficult choices before. I make sure he can't come after us. Any of us. Nathan. I have information on him that would put him in prison for 20 years. Corruption, bribery, evidence tampering. I've been sitting on it because I didn't need to use it, but now I do. He pulled out a file from his desk. The same kind of file he'd shown me for Tyler. I'm going to destroy him the same way I destroyed his son. And when I'm done, he'll wish he never said my name. I took the file and flipped through it. There was evidence of everything Nathan had mentioned and more. Chief Brennan had been dirty for years, and Nathan had documented all of it. You're going to the FBI tomorrow morning. Me and my lawyer. We're going to hand over everything and let them handle it. He took the file back. And then we're going to go on vacation. All 3 of us and Beast. Somewhere tropical where no one knows who we are and Michael can swim and you can relax. Just like that. Just like that. He pulled me close. I told you, Sophie. I protect what's mine. And you're mine. Michael's mine. This family is mine. And no washed-up police chief is going to change that. The next morning, Nathan met with his lawyer and the FBI. By afternoon, federal agents were raiding Chief Brennan's house. By evening, he was arrested on multiple charges. By the end of the week, he was front-page news, and Nathan was completely cleared of any involvement. How does it feel? I asked Nathan as we watched the news coverage. Like justice. He turned off the TV. But I'm done talking about the Brennans. I'm done thinking about them. They're finished. And we're just beginning. He kept his promise. 2 weeks later, we were on a beach in Hawaii, watching Michael play in the waves while Beast ran circles around him. Nathan had rented an entire house on a private beach, and for the first time in my adult life, I had nothing to worry about. No bills, no jobs, no sick brother to stress over, just sun and sand, and the man I loved. I could get used to this, I said, sipping my drink. You better, because I'm thinking we make this an annual thing. Nathan kissed my shoulder. Me, you, Michael, Beast, and whatever tropical location we feel like visiting. You're serious. Completely. I have more money than I know what to do with, Sophie. I want to spend it making you happy. Making Michael happy. Making us all happy. He took my hand. I want to give you the life you deserve. The one you've been working yourself to death trying to build. I don't need fancy vacations or expensive apartments. I know. That's why I want to give them to you. He shifted so he was facing me. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Sophie Reynolds. You walked into my bar with a black eye and you didn't ask for anything. You didn't want my money or my protection. You just wanted to work and take care of your brother. And somehow that made me fall completely in love with you. Nathan, I'm not done. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. I know it's fast. I know we've only been together for a few months. But I also know that I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you never have to worry about anything again. So, Sophie Reynolds, will you marry me? I looked at the ring, a simple diamond that caught the sunlight and threw rainbows across the sand. I looked at Nathan, this dangerous, beautiful man who'd destroyed my enemies and protected my brother and loved me despite all my broken pieces. I looked at Michael, who was watching us from the water with the biggest grin on his face. Yes, I said. Yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring on my finger and kissed me while Michael whooped and Beast barked and the ocean crashed against the shore. It was perfect. We were perfect. This whole impossible, beautiful life was perfect. 6 months later, we got married in a small ceremony on Nathan's penthouse terrace. Michael walked me down the aisle. Beast was the ring bearer. Eddie cried. And Nathan promised to love me forever while the city we'd conquered together spread out below us. Tyler sent a card. Just a card. It said, "Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I mean it." I threw it away without showing Nathan. Some things were better left in the past. Michael's cancer went into full remission 2 weeks after the wedding. Dr. Patterson said it was the best outcome she could have hoped for. I cried for 3 hours straight from relief. Nathan held me the entire time and didn't say a word. He didn't need to. We both knew how close we'd come to losing everything. A year after that, Nathan went legitimate. Mostly legitimate. He sold the bars, invested in real estate, started a security company that operated on the right side of the law. He still had connections. He still knew people. But he wasn't the same man who'd broken Tyler's hands in a dark alley. He was my husband, Michael's brother-in-law, a businessman who occasionally bent the rules but never broke them. "Do you miss it?" I asked him one night as we lay in bed, the city lights sparkling below us. The danger, the power, the whole crime boss thing. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But then I come home to you and Michael and Beast and I remember that this is better. This is what I was really fighting for all along. A family, a home. People who love me not because I'm dangerous, but because I'm me." "I love you because you're dangerous," I corrected. "And because you're you. Both things." He laughed and pulled me closer. "Good. Because I'm never going to be completely tame, Sophie." That's not who I am. I know. That's what I love about you. We fell asleep tangled together, and I dreamed about black eyes and broken hands, and the night a crime boss asked me who hurt me, and then made sure they'd never hurt anyone again. I dreamed about justice and revenge, and love that came from the darkest places. And when I woke up, Nathan was there, watching me with those green eyes that had seen too much and loved me anyway. "What are you thinking?" I murmured. "That I'm the luckiest man alive." He kissed my forehead, and that I'd break 1,000 more hands if it meant keeping you safe. "You're insane." "Completely. But you love me anyway." "I do." I kissed him properly. "I really do." And that was the truth. I loved this dangerous, beautiful, impossible man who'd saved me by destroying my enemies and then given me a life I never could have imagined. We were wrong for each other in every way that mattered, and perfect for each other in the only way that counted. Tyler Brennan had given me a black eye that changed my life, but Nathan Blackwood had given me everything else. Safety, love, family, and a future that didn't involve working myself to death. He'd asked who hurt me, and by morning the entire city knew who would pay the price, and I'd do it all again in a heartbeat.